Well, good morning, everyone, and my name is Aaron. I am the new Emerald brand ambassador for Emerald Publishing. Today, I have the privilege to speak with Professor Vanessa Ratten from the University in Australia in La Trobe. Vanessa is an associate professor of entrepreneurship, looking at topics like innovation and marketing. She's done extensive research in this space, taught in the undergraduate and postgraduate area. And today, Vanessa joins us also as editor-in-chief of the Journal of Family Business Management, part of the Emerald family. So, Vanessa, would you like to introduce a little bit about yourself and perhaps the journal?
Yeah, thanks very much, Aaron. It's really nice to be here and nice to talk to you. I'm the editor-in-chief of Journal of Family Business Management. So it's a quartile one journal in Scopus ranking, and it's considered one of the top three journals. So there's been, some articles about the best journals, and Journal of Family Business Management is one of the best journals. So the journal specifically focuses on family business management. So this really kind of ties in with my background. So
Mm.
I come from a family business background. So, since I was young, I've been involved with my mum and dad's, family businesses, and they've had a number of different types of family businesses, particularly like small businesses. So it's really kind of personal and passionate to me. So I'm really proud to be the editor-in-chief, and I think it's a really good, important position in terms of strategy and focusing on different aspects with regards to family business.
Yeah. So, how long have you been in this role, and what have you noticed in terms of the trends of topics or researchers in the journal?
So I've been in the role for almost like a year, a bit over a year. So in terms of the trends with family visits, it's really international. So it's really interesting. There's a lot of different emerging areas. I think emerging economies, like some of the
Mm,
Indonesia, India, I've seen kind of trends, more articles coming from that area, as well as like the traditional, Australia, Oceania, and North America. So I think in terms of kind of the trends, it's becoming much more international. There's much more globalization of the issues. There's still a lot of like systematic literature reviews,
mm,
but there's also kind of new topics coming in like craft.
mm,
Family businesses and like food family businesses. So, rather than just looking at the big quantitative data sets that are, there's still a lot of articles using that kind of data set. There's also like a lot of different methodologies. So like historical over like, 10 to 20 years time frame, looking at changes and using like one or two small case studies. So I think there's like a lot of diversity,
mm.
within the family business management field.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And indeed, the complexity and also the variance in terms of family businesses, looking at that from a global perspective, is probably a very unique element of the journal, and therefore attracting a very global audience. So thank you for the insights. I think that it allows scholars who listen in to this recording to also think about how they might pitch their work on family business to the journal as well. So moving on then, obviously into the editor-in-chief role, there's obviously a workload implication, teaching, research, and service elements. How do you balance these elements?
Oh yeah, so I think it's a really important issue, work-life balance. So I'm kind of at my career, I've got like 18,000 Google Scholar citations, so I'm kind of well published. So I'm kind of lucky I'm at my career. I don't have to kind of publish as much, as I did when I was like younger. So in terms of balancing it, I kind of enjoy the strategy part of the journal, like in terms of, publishing really interesting research.
Hmm,
To me, it's like a pleasure and I'm really lucky. So I feel lucky to be in a field in which I can, focus on areas that I'm interested in. So to me, it's a pleasure, but I do kind of balance my work life. I've got teaching commitments, so
hmm,
teaching, is always priority. But then, when teaching semester has finished, I can spend more time on the journal and, more time on research. But I think it's also important to kind of step back,
hmm,
sometimes, and to kind of think about the strategy, to think about, what you want to do, where you're positioning yourself as a researcher, but also kind of, have holidays.
hmm.
And that, so I think I'm lucky because I've always kind of really liked, research and teaching. So yeah, so it's a pleasure for me.
Thanks very much. And obviously, there may be other women and emerging leaders looking at some of these roles of research leadership, such as journal editors-in-chief or becoming part of maybe future succession plans. What would be your advice for women aspiring to be in these roles in the future?
Yeah, I think it's really important because, for women, you need to be in those leadership positions. So, I think they have to do a lot of work. Like, before I was an editor, I did a lot of special journal issues.
Hmm,
I put my hand up for everything. I did a lot of reviewing. So I think, it takes a bit of time and effort and work. So like aspiring women, who want to be like an editor, they need to do a lot of work, just like recognize it's just like males, like women, you need to do a lot of work, and you need to kind of build your brand name,
hmm,
but just be perseverant too. So like your time will come, sometimes there's, obstacles that you have to go through, but your time will come if you just like persevere, and be patient, and just like kind of focus on your area, of research interest.
yeah, and along that line as well, the collaboration, the mentoring, and perhaps having that kind of group that might be mutually supportive of some of this endeavor would be important.
Yeah, definitely. So I think you definitely have to have a team, like, like a wolf pack, like a
Mm,
wolf pack that, you kind of work with. Like you definitely need a team. And I think it's really important to have an international one too, if possible.
mm,
Sometimes you might start within your local country or local region, but then to branch out and try and have international partnerships. I think that really helps build your career.
mm,
And also kind of gets you known in different parts of the world. So particularly in terms of research, more people are looking at international collaborations. So having that kind of team-based approach,
mm,
and also kind of supportive, because it's helpful to talk to others and, often they've gone through the same thing that you have. So, having that kind of camaraderie,
mm.
team is really important.
Yeah, thanks very much. I think a lot of listeners might be also looking at this maybe in the next 3 to 10 years of their career, moving on from early career to mid-career, and obviously as more experienced researchers, and thinking about how even publishers like Emerald also may be able to support them throughout their career development. So finally, Vanessa, what has been your experience with Emerald like as part of a journal, as editor-in-chief, and where do you see perhaps Emerald supporting you in this journal role moving forward?
Yeah, so Emerald has been really excellent. They've been very supportive, so they're very professional. They always get back to you if you've got any questions. They're really good in terms of giving you information about like data about
Hmm,
the journal, like downloads, most cited article, but also kind of planning.
hmm,
So I found them excellent to work with, and really kind of professional. So a lot of them, are really interested in research too. So they kind of know that, but it also kind of helps to get their advice
hmm,
about how to word things or how to do things. So they're very kind of helpful with advice,
hmm,
because, that they've got a lot of kind of knowledge in that area. And also Emerald is like one of the best publishers in the
hmm,
world. So they're really kind of well known for being a very, professional publisher. They've got high ethics, guidelines. They do a lot of kind of work behind the scenes. But also kind of their database, Emerald journals are really
hmm,
highly regarded. So, they're on a lot of the, rankings for journals, the
hmm,
Emerald journals. So that kind of makes a difference too, because there's a lot of different publishers. But I think, having that Emerald brand also helps kind of differentiate the journal from other journals,
yeah,
to show the credibility and that it goes through a rigorous process. And it's, like there's all the due diligence, the due diligence in terms of who the editor is, who the editorial board members are. And I think that's really important now, particularly with AI, like
hmm,
artificial intelligence. Sometimes it's really hard now to see, so I think they do a lot of work in terms of that credibility,
hmm,
because I think like publishing is changing really fast with AI, artificial intelligence. So, I think it's really important, to make sure, we still kind of have people, in terms of that people interaction. So we, use the AI technology, but we also kind of build on the brand name, the reputation, but also the professional knowledge, of people. So I think Emerald's been excellent with that.
yeah. And obviously, you mentioned areas like AI and potentially where the editors and the editorial team behind the scene can actually support the movement or the development of the journal forward as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for your time, Vanessa.